Welcome into the Bears Squad Show. I'm Joe George, post-game host, and cardiac kids, comeback kids, whatever you want to call them. The Bears find another way to pull off a victory, this time against the Vikings.
I'm Adam Sager. Defense forces 2 more turnovers, but they almost give it away in the end.
And I'm Lauren Cox from Locked On Bears, and somehow it's the Bears' special teams that comes up clutch after really sweating it out in the first few quarters of the game.
Bear down, Chicago. It's the Bears Squad. Everything Chicago Bears, every week. Covering all the big hits and game-changing plays from the Windy City. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. From Soldier Field to the next great chapter, the Bears Squad Show starts now.
Welcome into the Bears Squad Show. Joe George, Lauren Cox, Adam Sager here with you for the next hour. And the Bears, they find a way to do it again. Another comeback victory. This one led by special teams in the very end. Special teams nearly cost you in this game. So we got a lot to get through on just the special teams side of the ball. But we'll talk about what we saw from Caleb Williams in the offense. The drops still kind of a thing, as were last week. And the defense, for the most part, really good. J.J. McCarthy, not a great day for the Vikings. But Lauren, I'll start with you. They just keep doing it, man. They just keep finding a way to win. What's your thoughts on what we saw transpire today?
Yeah, I think this is a game where if you took it in a vacuum and not in the context of the rest of the Bears season, you might just say, oh, well, NFC North games are tough. And then there's a lot of fighting back and forth. And it was probably always going to be whoever touched the ball last. But then like in the broader context of the full Bears season, it's kind of like, man, you could kind of see this playing out as the game went on. Like when the Bears punted from Vikings territory up 6, I almost tweeted out and I didn't, but it was like, we all know how this game is going to go, right? Vikings are going to drive down and score. Caleb's going to get the ball back with under a minute to go, and he's got an opportunity to drive down and win the game. And of course, that's how it all plays out. It's just like eventually this has to stop one way or another, but I'm not complaining until it does.
Yeah, I mean, just what a weird, crazy game that was. It was, offense didn't play well. Defense played well for most of the game till the fourth quarter, and then the special teams was up and down all day, from a bad Torrey Taylor punt to the punt return to the botched field goal. I mean, this game had everything, but you find a way to win in the NFL. You get to 7-3, which, a lot of people had this team winning 7, 8, maybe 9 games this season. So you got to feel good where you're at. Like Lauren said, can this continue? I don't think so, but hey, we keep saying that each and every week, and they keep finding ways to win in the end.
Yeah, I mean, somehow the Bears have become the most must-watch team in the NFL at this point this season, because it's like, how are they going to collapse, and then how are they going to come back and win the game? And whether it's, you've done it in every which way possible, it feels like at this point. Like your defense has been terrible. You've gotten big turnovers from your defense, like in the Commanders game today. It's special teams, and normally I wouldn't want to start these shows with special teams talk, but feels like we have to. You get the big return from Duvernay and the game-winning kick. It's finally nice to see at least the return game play out in your favor. This special teams unit, Lauren, is a wild ride every game right now for the Bears.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like something you can rely on or count on necessarily, but you can just be hopeful that, hey, maybe this time you're going to get something. And, we've seen them make those big returns late in a couple of games. So like they're clearly capable of, I don't want to say greatness, but like capable of being better more often. It's just a matter of like consistency and being able to do that over the course of a game. But like, I don't leave this game, despite Cairos Santos game winning field goal, thinking like, oh, everything's fine at kicker. Like that makes up for all of his, mistakes and misses over the last handful of games. And kind of same thing with the kickoff coverage and kickoff return, right? Like, yeah, great return by Duvernay, but like they weren't getting much of anything from the return game there, and the coverage units continue to be an issue. Like nothing is solved. It was more just like making up for their crimes of earlier in the game that almost cost them, and instead they kind of end up breaking even by the end.
Yeah, it was something, there was a lot you don't want to see. They got lucky on that one kick return by the Vikings where there was the holding. It was a clear hold, but you never know if that guy makes the tackle. It was, not sound in their gaps when they were coming down on that kickoff. But Santos 3 for 4, misses a 45-yarder, I think it was. I mean, those are the ones, if you can't kick 50 plus basically at all, then you got to hit 45 and in, and he misses that one. So I don't know that it's ever going to get better, but at least if they can help you win games here and there, I guess it's something.
Yeah, it's like they just did enough in this game. I mean, Cairo like has a good day overall, but that missed field goal, like it was hanging over like a black cloud at the end of the game, where it's just like, oh, the Bears are going to blow it again to the Minnesota Vikings, and then Duvernay with that spectacular return. Like, I don't know if that was a design, if it's like, hey, if they're going to kick it to the corner, run the other way, but there was great blocking on it, and that's really the most explosive play we've seen from Duvernay back there this entire season. And then Santos, he gets the game winner. So it's weird to complain about special teams in a way, because they win you this football game basically by themselves, but you can also look at them and say, well, they almost lost you this game as well. And there's a lot of other reasons why this game was close overall. And, Lauren, where do you feel like this game, as it started to slip away from the Bears, what was as you were kind of watching that transpire, where you're like, okay, this is where I'm really concerned as the way this is playing out?
Yeah, I will say quick on special teams. I'll get back to that. Like, we talk about Duvernay's return and everything, and won them the game, and Santos hits the field goal. But like, I do think I wonder if, because that's what we saw, we give them a lot of credit for that, when if that's a touchback, Caleb Williams, I mean, probably still drives them into field goal range. I mean, I don't want to just assume automatically at this point that that's always going to happen, but I don't want to get too carried away and think the Bears don't win this game if not for their special teams, because I don't know that that's the case, right? It wasn't like, oh, special teams bailed out the offense. I mean, they made it so that they could just run the ball 3 times and kick a field goal, and that's credit to the special teams for putting them there. But it wasn't like, oh, they had nothing and, oh, special teams is the big savior. It was more like, oh, that's nice. That made it much easier. But I do wonder if Caleb had gotten the ball at the 20 there, or at the 30 or wherever, probably with 3 timeouts, there's some faith that he can at least get them into field goal range. Maybe not a touchdown or whatever, and Santos still has to hit the field goal, and that there's real value to that. But I find myself feeling less like Duvernay as the hero and more like a convenient makeup for what the whole special teams had been struggling to do earlier in the game.
Well, and that's why Duvernay was brought here, was to be a kick returner, punt returner, and he hasn't done much of it at all this year. So it's finally nice to see him break one loose in a big moment. So credit to him there. And it did seem like it was set up, Joe, that because the way they were blocking, they were all turned in. So he just rode right off their backs, right to find an opening, and he did, and was able to take it down to whatever, the 30, 40 yards.
Yeah, and to your point, Lauren, too, it's still strange, I think, as a Bears fan, to think like, okay, the Bears can get the ball back with less than a minute. They have 3 timeouts, and there's a comfort knowing who your quarterback is, that he's going to put them in the right position to win this game. So yeah, because I'm with you 100%. Like, yeah, Duvernay makes the play there, but I don't think the Bears lose this game based off the way they've been performing in crunch time this entire season. Like, Caleb's been making the big throws. He made the big throws again today. And didn't get some help from, whether it's Burden with the big drop or DJ Moore with the big drop. Like it's that stuff still kind of transitioned from last week, which we'll talk about throughout the show. But I thought Caleb was good in this game. It wasn't a great day, but I thought he was solid for what he did back there.
And to your earlier question there, right? It's like they get the ball, like, as far as falling apart, like they get the ball back with a lead, and all of a sudden Darnell Wright can't block up front, and Kyle Monangai is tackled for loss, and then DJ Moore drops a big pass, and then they try and run again and run into a big wall, and it just felt like there were so many different obstacles that certainly it's not like, oh, Caleb is doing nothing wrong, but man, a lot of things are falling apart a little bit around the quarterback down the stretch, where it's like, man, they're making life much more difficult for this Bears team. It's like you still see signs of young team with a first year offensive head coach that they're all trying to sort of get on the same page, and just little mistakes that come up big at the end and then put the Vikings in a position to climb back in and retake a late lead.
Yeah. And with Caleb, I think it's just early on seemed a little amped up and overthrowing everything, especially those deep throws. And you hope at some point those start connecting more often, because that does seem to be kind of the disconnect here with this offense right now, is those deep over the top throws that they just can't get right and through, these first 10 games in Ben Johnson's offense. But I thought he was fine. He did well throwing the ball away. Now, maybe he held it a few seconds too long a couple times, but overall he was good. Couple big drops like you guys mentioned. And, I was looking earlier at the target, how they distributed the targets today. Komet had 5, Adunze had 6, Loveland had 4, Burden had 5, DJ Moore had 3, and then Durham Smythe 3. Like, what? Like, Colston Loveland is proving to be really damn good. And all those people that were freaking out about Tyler Warren early in the season are looking back and saying, okay, maybe, Loveland's going to be really, really good. I want to see him more. I want to see him get more targets because every time he touches the ball, it seems to be a good play, picking up a first down, picking up 8 yards on first down on that quick little rollout they ran early in the game. I mean, I want to see more of Colston Loveland. And the best part today, I think I tweeted or I messaged a buddy of mine. I did not notice Zacchaeus until the fourth quarter. He was going in motion, and I was like, who's 14? Oh, my gosh. Like, this is the first time I've noticed him today, and I was happy about it. The fact that Burden was out there getting more snaps like we've talked about on these shows for the past couple weeks.
Olamide Zacchaeus played 10 snaps.
10, okay. Yeah.
Ozzie Trapillo in this game, if that tells you anything. Luther Burden played 33.
Wow.
For comparison here. Durham Smythe played 16, and I agree that like 3 targets for him is far too many. But I think some of that reflected Caleb Williams being a lot more willing to just throw the check down. I mean, out of his snaps in this game, they were mostly in the backfield at like fullback type of spots where it's just like he's the running back that's the quote unquote running back that's closest underneath the throw to. And it's not like, oh, he really wanted to get the ball to Durham Smythe. It's, there's a blitz coming and I just got to throw it to whoever's kind of closest to me. And that happened to be 81, but I would prefer it was anybody but 81 or maybe 21 at this point. Because why Travis Homer got a third down shotgun carry that, yes, he was pulled by his face mask, but why in that situation was this first carry all season? I mean, there's little head scratchers like that we can still point to of like, hey, I'm not 100% sure what Ben Johnson's doing there.
Yeah, go for it, Adam, because I know you didn't like it.
I haven't liked. I mean, I've thought Ben Johnson struggled a little bit in the last couple of weeks, and just I don't want to say struggle, but just his play calling just hasn't felt. It feels like he gets in stretches where it's pass, and then it's run. It never seems to be. While it ends up in the end where it's like 27 passes and 26 runs, but it's just how we get there. I feel like he could be a little more, I don't even know the word I'm looking for, but yeah, I don't need Travis Homer getting a carry to the outside when he's not a speed guy, first of all, on 3rd and 5 in a big spot. I don't need Tyson Bagent out there twice as a decoy trying to run different things. If you want to do it once, fine, because you've run now a couple trick plays with him, fine. But the second one, just get under center and run the ball like you have been with DeAndre Swift, who ran hard again today. And it just feels like Ben Johnson's getting away from the run early, a little too quick these last couple weeks. And then he's like, almost like, well, we got to be, balanced. So I got to run like crazy here. And to their credit, it works. But yeah, Ben Johnson has, not given his best effort, I guess is the way I'll put it, over the last couple of weeks, and yet they've found ways to win the game.
Yeah, I think we're seeing some growth or some learning struggles a little bit from Ben, because even like the missed field goal drive, they're running the ball really well. Swift is just touching it every single time. They convert, I think it's a first down, and then they end up throwing an incomplete pass on a play action. It's like, well, Swift has been running the ball this entire drive nonstop. They haven't been able to slow him down. So you try to throw it, and I get the logic behind it. You don't want to just keep, as you're saying, just keep running over and over again, but that drive stalls out. And we'll talk about that more in this next segment coming about how they just kept stalling out in this game. But yeah, I'm with you on the Homer one. 3rd and 5, handed off to Travis Homer. It doesn't make any sense. Like, if you're going to run that play, okay, I don't love the play, but DeAndre Swift should be the running back that's getting the ball in that moment of anyone on your roster. The other 3rd down one I didn't love was when they were up 16-3, I think it was, and took the deep shot to Colston Loveland. That really wasn't a competitive ball at all. That's more Caleb, but play design overall, it wasn't. There's just little things in this one. But again,
was that the fake screen one, or was that to? I'm trying to remember. They ran a fake screen on a 3rd and 4.
Pump and go. Yeah.
Yes, and so I don't know if that's the one you're talking about, Joe, but
I think it was.
That felt like it was. Like, you fake that and you're throwing that ball no matter what, because we're in that field goal area, which he missed. But, and I'm with you. Just You've got so many plays. You got so many weapons that are good at about 5 yards. Just get the first down. And it felt like Ben a few times today, 3rd and short, and we're going long on deep passes. And it's like, you don't need to do that. Just pick up the first down, keep the drive rolling. Instead, it was, no, we're going to take a shot here, and it's not needed.
All right, let's take our first break. Let's talk more about what we saw from the offense in this game. Moved the ball a lot, not a lot of touchdowns, nearly came back to bite the Bears. So we'll discuss that next here on the Bears Squad Show. Today's show is brought to you by Mint Mobile. If you're still overpaying for wireless, it's time to say yes to saying no. At Mint Mobile, their favorite word is no. No contracts, no monthly bills, no overages, no hidden fees, no BS. I said yes to making the switch, getting premium wireless for just $15 a month. Mint makes it simple. All plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network, and you can even bring your own phone and keep your same number and contacts. Ready to say yes to saying no? Make the switch at mintmobile.com/lockedonnfl. That's mintmobile.com/lockedonnfl. Upfront payment of $45 required, equivalent to $15 a month. Limited time, new customer offer for first 3 months only. Speeds may slow down above 35 gigabyte on unlimited plan. Taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details. So the Bears moved the ball a lot of field goals in this game. So the offense, some good, some bad. Like, you want to convert more of those into touchdowns. It does feel like ultimately if the Bears would have lost this game, that's what the lead story for me of the game would have been, is not scoring touchdowns and then the special team stuff that we've already discussed. But Lauren, it's this offense. I think I would describe it as it was a fine day. It wasn't good. It wasn't really bad. They just didn't convert for touchdowns the way that they needed to blow this team out like they probably should have.
Yeah, and I think sometimes you do have to just give credit to a pretty good Vikings defense. Like, the initial blitz numbers from PFF had Caleb Williams being blitzed about 75% of his dropbacks in this game, which was almost twice as much as it was the first time against the Vikings. Like, very, very clearly, like, deciding to, hey, we want to try and keep him in the pocket a little bit more and not let him get, easy free yards with his legs. So they're going to send extra rushers and force him to be Houdini a lot. Even when he escapes one sack, he's not really getting to the line of scrimmage and beyond all that often. He did a couple times, but like, that does make it harder to run your offense and to get points on the board the way that you want to. Like, that is to some extent, like, you tip your cap to Brian Flores in some extent. And then, other areas, you look at the drop passes, and Caleb certainly missed a number of throws in this game that you probably would have liked to see him hit. And sometimes the running game was going and sometimes it wasn't. And it just kind of felt like, I think you're right there, right? It wasn't horrible offense by any means. It was just like a little bit more of a struggle than you would have liked it to be against a pretty good defense. And you can live with that, especially when your defense is getting a couple stops, getting a couple turnovers, and maybe getting bailed out sometimes by JJ McCarthy being even worse.
Yeah, and I thought, and it's weird because they scored more point. What was it, 10-3 at half, and then you score the 9 in the second half. But it felt like their offense was much better the second half than it was the first half. First half, they weren't running the ball well. Swift hadn't gotten going, and they were, I want to say, around 3.5 yards per carry in the run game. And then Swift got going, started running hard, and saw Manon guy pick up a couple decent carries in there. So, yeah, I think this game got going. Maybe Ben got a little more comfortable, maybe too comfortable when he's, throwing in Travis Homer and stuff. But I thought overall they were fine. There was, the ball never really felt in danger today. Caleb did a nice job throwing it away. And, I mean, let's just give Caleb, the way he avoids these sacks week in and week out is incredible. I mean, the fact that, they had one free blitzer, I can't remember who it was coming. I think it was the safety. And he just took one little lean forward and then backed out. And the safety had no idea what to do. He just fell down. So he's incredible at that. But yeah, I felt like the second half, the Bears offense felt more like the Bears offense we'd seen. Now, they didn't put up the points because they weren't finishing the drives, but I thought overall that they looked better in the second half.
And to your point about the escape stuff, like, we've known he's been good at escaping. I think he's been even better this season. Yeah. But the part that I'm even most encouraged by is when he does escape, being really smart with it afterward, right? Like, he took two sacks in this game, and then he was trying to scramble and get out of it. And
they're both late.
One felt worse. Like, okay, just throw it away. Like it was when he kind of run to the right, like Van Ginkel, I think eventually chased him on the first one. He was trying to kind of step up and get around. I can live with that. But like for the most part, even when it's a throwaway, like I'm super happy with that. Like getting out, like escape, he's still keeping his eyes downfield. He's looking for something. And obviously, when it's not there, then he can just hurl it out of bounds, 80 yards downfield, and it's not that big of a deal. But it just feels like the decision making to not only like avoid the negative play of the sack, but then like continue to avoid a negative play all the way to the end. Because I think rookie year Caleb makes the first guy miss and then has too many of those plays still end in a sack, or when he runs out of bounds but it's behind the line of scrimmage so it goes down as a sack, or it's just like, or tries to force a pass that's just not there. Like there's just such a better decision making and taking care of the ball after he does the magic.
Yeah, I think in this game we really saw, and part of that's we see with the targets to the tight ends, but the check down stuff that we've talked a lot about this season, we saw a lot more of that in this game. Like he was hitting Cole Kmet in the flat and finding the safe play, like when things like there was good coverage by the Vikings. He was finding the easy plays. The one I still love the most though of the kind of Houdini magic from Caleb was the one where it was the play action. He rolls out to his left and there's a free defender right in his face and he just kind of stops, lobs the ball over the defender for like a nice easy completion. He did the simple stuff well in this game. The explosive stuff wasn't really there, not all his fault, but they just kept finding a way to execute the simple stuff in this game. So I don't know. What'd you make of the running game, Lauren? Because it was the numbers look pretty good, but there was some up and down in this game.
Yeah, I was surprised from a scheme standpoint. They were with like super, super, super heavy zone throughout this game. Like we had seen Ben Johnson in recent weeks be a little bit more versatile from a scheme standpoint. They'd run more of that counter and power. And outside of that counter play, that was a touchdown on the goal line for Kyle Monungai. That felt like just about the only time we saw them like pull a guard and a tackle for, from one side to the other. But it was a lot of like, stretch zone and trying to hit that over and over again. And, it seemed like it got rolling a little bit more in the second half after they were just kind of getting 2 and 3 yards a pop in the first half. But I was still kind of waiting for, that big one to break free there. Like they were getting a better push, especially in the fourth quarter until the final drive there, the final couple drives where like Swift had a bunch of room to run. It's like, okay, like, can we get that big kind of breakthrough through not the 80-yard touchdown, but just the 25, 30-yard chunk play that really kind of breaks the defense. And it felt like the defensive front kept getting like close. They were bend in the running game, but never quite had the damn truly break free for that one big run.
Yeah, and I think something you just brought up, the play where they like to pull the guard, pull Tooney a lot and get him out in front. Late in that game, that last drive, that second down, they tried that play and it got beat, and Swift got hit in the backfield. They lost 3 or 4 yards. And that's where, when it's second and short, or, in that, this offensive line is really good at just going forward too. And sometimes you just got to let your, big guys eat in the front and just let them push and go and then run off that. And that's where part of my thinking with Ben Johnson just being a little too cute. You're there, pick up the first down, and you keep going. And, then it opens up, okay, maybe we can pass here if we want, because we have all our timeouts. They have nothing. We want to get Santos closer and not make him, kick a 47-yarder to win it. Maybe it's a 27-yarder or 37-yarder. So I just think that it gets a little too cute, and teams are starting to pick up on it. Because last week we saw when that guard pulls, that defensive lineman is crashing hard and, getting the Bears' backs in the backfield a little more than they probably would like.
And worth probably mentioning too that when they're blitzing that much on passing plays, they're blitzing a lot on running plays too, right? We like PFF doesn't track, blitz numbers for run blitz. It's a little bit harder to like truly measure who's filling a gap versus blitzing. But like if they're blitzing 75% of the time on passing plays, and they're calling blitzes on plays that end up being running plays, so they are going to be more aggressive coming downhill to stop the run, and knowing that they're risking leaving space behind them in the passing game that they couldn't quite take full advantage of.
So the other thing that stood out for me from the offense in a positive today is, and it didn't always result in, sustained drives, but you go back to like that third drive of the game where there's the fumble and you're like 2nd and 25 or whatever it was. And then there's a big completion for 24 yards to Roma Dunze. There's the possession early in the second half where there's penalties and you get a drop pass, but then you get the screen pass to Luther Burden on a 3rd and long, and he takes it and he converts. So like, they were setting themselves backwards a lot of times this game, and we're also overcoming those obstacles. So it's like it's the good with the bad, right? Where you're putting yourself too much backwards too often in this game and having to overcome your own mistakes. but they did a good job of overcoming them, I think, for the most part in this game.
And it was nice that some of the more of those mistakes felt a little bit less. I mean, I guess the drop passes are there, but from a penalty standpoint, right? Outside of the Roma Dunze illegal formation thing, there weren't a lot of like dumb false start, self-inflicted wound type of penalties in this game where it's just like easy, basic day one stuff that holds you back. Like outside of the drop passes, I guess that's kind of the other thing that is very much self-inflicted going backwards there. But like, I don't know, Darnell Wright getting beat off the snap or Theo Bennett getting beat off the snap. Like, I don't think of those as much as like, self-inflicted wounds. It's like sometimes defensive player makes a good play because they guess your play call and they hit the gap quickly. And you're like, oh, how did he know to be there? And like, again, I'm willing to give the Vikings some credit there for being able to make stops on the Bears or put the Bears in tough situations, as opposed to like previous weeks. It always feels like the Bears are mostly doing it to themselves, but it felt like this was a little bit more like 50-50. Vikings are doing it to them a little bit more too.
Yeah. And I think there was that second illegal formation one later in the game. And I was watching it and I happened to look at the formations and I thought Loveland had him covered up. He was, I thought plenty far forward and they still called him for it. But one thing I think, or two things, I guess, that throw to Roma Dunze you talked about, Joe, how it was, and that was in rhythm. It wasn't, he set his back foot and let it rip. I want to see more of that. And I still don't know why we don't get more of that from this offense. And I don't know if it's the route running. I don't know if it's the concepts. I don't know if it's Caleb's not pulling triggers. I mean, I watched the all 22 and it feels like it's a mix between all three, but more so the concept and the route running, that it just doesn't feel crisp all the time. And I think that would open up this offense so much more, because when they can hit those plays, that's when drives really get going and Caleb gets comfortable instead of, sometimes he gets in that rhythm where he thinks he's got to bail at some point. And I think that's something that needs to get better if they want to go against this much stronger schedule they have coming up and win some games. The other thing is, Theo Bennett in the passing game is continuing to struggle badly. Like, he's getting beat a lot. And that's part of the reason, like, a lot of Caleb's escapes today were because of Bennett. And that's a worry. He went down with the eye poke early, only missed one play. Trapillo came in. But I'm a little worried with him at left tackle in the pass game moving forward, especially as these defenses do get better each week that we start seeing them.
Yeah, because we'll see how tomorrow plays out as Aaron Rodgers gets evaluated for his wrist injury. But like, that still means TJ Watt, you're playing him in a couple weeks. Like, you're still playing the Steelers defense coming up, the Eagles, and obviously the Lions.
You saw what Max Crosby did. Yeah.
I'm with you. The left tackle, it's strange because Theo seems to be so good in the run game. Like, except for really that last play, like where it got blown up on the pulling play that you guys were talking about there. He got bullied on that one a little bit, but for the most part, he's been excellent in the run game. So it's like, it's this give and take with the Bears where it's okay, it's really good here, but it's really struggling on the other side. It's just got to try to find a way to balance that at some point, it feels like.
Well, I do think from a balance standpoint, the thing I find myself being encouraged by this Bears team is like, it's not like you've seen them have to rely on the same strength carrying them every single week. And it's also not the same, not necessarily the same weakness hurting them every single week. Like, it's not like, oh, Ben Johnson's brilliant play calling, they're leaning and they're milking that cow every single week till it's dry because that's all they can get working. Like, no, he has some up and down. And like Caleb Williams having these brilliant games and great fourth quarter comebacks, like that wasn't the case today. They didn't need Caleb Williams to be super, super clutch. And that's okay. Like, so the point being, like, it seems like each aspect of the team, the quarterback, play calling, the running game, sometimes the defense today, the special teams, like any of those aspects can kind of win you a game, and any of them maybe can kind of lose you a game. And there's a precariousness to that you don't know what's going to fall next, but also you don't feel like, oh, one thing is completely hopeless and never going to be able to help you, or one thing is like, oh, we're just overly reliant on X, Y, or Z. Like they found ways to kind of complement each other, that when one area falls down, some of the other areas have been able to pick up. And the idea is that eventually, or maybe next season, that there can be more consistency across the board, and then you're a really good football team and not just like a kind of good football team.
Yeah, I want to see more. And I know I'm not expecting the 49 points that they put up against the Bengals, but I want to see more games where you're seeing the passing game and the running game have big time success. And this offense is clicking on all cylinders. And we're rolling and it's touchdown, touchdown. Yeah, maybe field goal, touchdown. And we just haven't seen that quite enough. And again, that's to Lauren's point that everybody is still trying to figure each other out. There's still some pieces. Ben Johnson's offense is new to everybody that's here. So I think that strides are being made, and the fact that you don't have to rely on one thing as your go-to every single time, I think is good sign for the future.
Yeah, and I think again, what you mentioned, the snap count earlier with Burton and Zacchaeus, the increased role for leveling, that 3rd and 14 conversion he had, where he just made Harrison Smith and another Vikings defender kind of run into each other. We're seeing the athleticism, like we're seing the young guys' role continue. Like you're getting such good production too from the young guys. Again, Theo, undrafted, free agent, is playing well in the run game as the left tackle. So like you're getting production from your young guys, and Caleb, I think, is playing good this season. Like we're seeing some really big high games, but something you mentioned earlier too, Adam, is he's not putting turnover worthy balls out there. Like it doesn't feel like last year at all, where last year felt like a concerted effort because of what Eberflus was preaching. Don't turn the ball over. And that was leading to sacks. This year, he's just not making turnover worthy throws very often. And that's been a huge bonus as well. I feel like doesn't get talked about enough as what we're seeing from the offense. All right, let's talk about the defense. They got some help today because JJ McCarthy was getting booed off the field. It was a tough day for JJ, but in the end, the Bears played very well for the most part on defense. Let's get into that next here on the Bears Squad Show.
Bears Squad Show is brought to you by our friends at FanDuel Sportsbook. We're all having heart attacks in the NFL season right now, but hey, the NBA is back too, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Because even if you miss the start of a game or you just want to ride the hot hand once it gets rolling, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same game parlay for a shot at an even bigger payout. It just keeps every game exciting, especially when your team is the one that's making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when you make your first $5 bet and win. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up today and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA.
So the defense in this one, gives up the touchdown late. And again, JJ McCarthy, some not great throws in this game, and the Vikings had their own drops issues. But you got 2 turnovers in this one from interceptions. Lauren, what's your view of how the defense played in this game today?
Yeah, I felt like for a lot of the game, it felt a little bit more like McCarthy bailing them out than like a great defensive performance. Like certainly the interceptions were both individually great plays by Nashawn Wright high pointing that ball and Kevin Byard reading him the whole way. I mean, it was an underthrown pass, but like Byard still like had to kind of not freelance, but he had to read it and attack it and be in the right place at the right time. But like, I do wonder if a more accurate quarterback here, and like if the Vikings don't drop any of those passes or don't drop most of those passes, and McCarthy doesn't miss those wide open receivers, if we're not talking about a very different Bears defensive performance overall here. And like they did make some plays, they did get some good pressure on him at times, even rushing 4 quite a bit in this game. Like there was progress in some areas, but a lot of it was just like, yeah, you got injuries at cornerback and injuries at linebacker, and for a little while there's some other injuries in the secondary with Brisker and Stevenson running into each other. That I think the results look better than the defense played, in a large part because McCarthy just really wasn't that good. Although they did defend the run pretty well over the course of the game too.
Well, I mean, and I just look at this game. This Vikings team's not very good. I mean, I know they have 4 wins. They're 4-6 now, I think, on the season. But they're not a very good football team. The fact that you almost went 0-2 to them in the season, this loss would have been heartbreaking for the Bears, just as much as the first week, because it feels like things are better off now than they were coming in to Ben Johnson's first game as a head coach and all that. But yeah, there's still I still need more pressure. You didn't get to McCarthy at all once and sack him. You did put some pressure on him, but this is more of a Vikings just being terrible from the standpoint of McCarthy missing throws. Jordan Addison just dropping the ball here and there, 3 or 4 times today. Justin Jefferson had a drop. TJ Hawkinson just quit on a route at one point and then tried to start running again. And it's like, what is going on? I mean, because there's good weapons there. There's a good running game there. And just for that, I know McCarthy's bad, but man, they just the drops and everything. This is just not a good offense right now. And the fact that the Bears almost lost this game drives me a little insane, to be honest.
I just don't have a good explanation for how in the fourth quarter, JJ McCarthy goes 5 for 5 on that drive to score a touchdown. Like, why all of a sudden, and I'm sure there's a Vikings podcast and there were Giants and Bengals podcasts talking about how does Caleb Williams go 6 for 6 on his final game-winning touchdown drive when he was missing throws throughout the game. But like from a defensive standpoint, like why all of a sudden is he just dealing after being bad for 4? There's flashes along the way where you're like, oh, he's pretty close. And then it all connects in the fourth quarter and you kind of were building up to something. But McCarthy was just like abysmal for a bunch of the game. And then randomly flipped the switch and fourth quarter, one drive. It's one drive all game. It wasn't even like multiple drives like the first game. One drive, is Dennis Allen getting way more conservative in those moments? I don't necessarily see that watching it live, but haven't had a chance to go back through. I'm missing an explanation as to why all of a sudden either the Bears defense gets 25% worse, or why JJ McCarthy all of a sudden becomes way better.
Adam, I mean, you're a Michigan fan, so like you're a JJ McCarthy. Like you watched him in college. Like, do you have an explanation?
He barely played in the fourth quarter in college. They were just winning so big that year that he barely played in the fourth quarter. But he does have that kind of makeup that in big moments he'll pick it up, and he kind of has played like that through high school. I remember going and watching him up here in high school. When he wasn't too far from me. So I just think that, that touchdown he threw, for example, I'm watching that and I want to see the all 22 because I really want to see, but on the TV, it looked like when they put that man in motion, the Bears defense didn't move 1 ounce, not 1 inch. And I'm like, okay. And then the play develops and then he hits Jordan Addison wide open and Nashawn Wright's for some reason 3, 4, 5 yards into the end zone. What is going on in that type? So I don't know if that's just a blown coverage on Nashawn Wright's aspect, but I just think that a lot of that 5 for 5 was the Bears defense just being bad. And that secondary is still bad. And when Stevenson's out and then you have McLeod in there, given a 15-yard cushion on 3rd and 4 because he's afraid to get beat deep. I mean, it's just bad with Wright and McLeod out there at any given time.
Yeah, that's why the news this week. I mean, and I can't believe they even listed Jalen Johnson as questionable at one point for this game. They quickly changed that on Saturday from Friday's injury report. But the fact that his return, designation was started this week, it feels really promising. I don't want to look too much into the questionable on Friday about like how quickly Jalen Johnson could return for the Bears defense, but it does make you feel a little bit better because. Yeah, my gut just tells me like when we look at that touchdown play, we're going to look at Nashawn Wright or some miscommunication on defense. Like that's more on the Bears defense than it was. I mean, and even the play, like maybe there was intel they had because Addison didn't really seem like interested in the play, and all of a sudden the ball was coming his way. So it's like maybe they thought when they run that motion that he's really not engaged or not really an option for McCarthy, and he just threw it to him anyways. But yeah, that play was not great there. How do you think the run game fared up? Because Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason, like they've been okay this season. We see the rushing touchdown in that one drive to make it 17-16. So Lauren, what'd you make of the rush defense in this one?
Yeah, I mean, I thought they got the job done for the most part. I wouldn't say it was like stellar shutting them down, but it kind of felt similar to how the Vikings had defended the Bears running game, where it was like they never gave up the big breakaway run, but most of the time you're holding to 3 or 4 yards and they get a couple of the 6-7 yard chunks in there. They generally tackled pretty well. And there were stretches of the game where they were stuffing it pretty well. And there were stretches where like, oh man, they're running all over you, especially that Jordan Mason touchdown run where like, man, Nick McLeod is such a liability in running game and Kevin Byard gets blocked out of the picture by Justin Jefferson. It's just like little stuff like that when you're starting to get gashed where it kind of rains and pours there. But for the most part, I wasn't like particularly worried. I didn't feel like, oh, wow, the Vikings are really able to lean on their running game right now while JJ McCarthy is struggling. But, it put them in better down and distance situations than you would have liked to have seen them. But McCarthy couldn't take advantage of it either way.
Yeah. And that's kind of part of my concern, I guess I would say a little bit, is the fact that you knew McCarthy was struggling. We all saw it. They were dropping the ball. We knew that pass game was really, really struggling. He had 70-something yards until that last drive where he went 5 for 5 like we talked about. But Andrew Billings just continues to be pushed around a lot for as big as he is. And as much as it's nice to have Austin Booker back for the pass rush that is needed, him in the run game is really, he ends up on the ground almost every single play in the run game. So there's some concerns I still have about that. And the fact that, the pass game is struggling and you still can't stop the run. Like, you think you're bringing extra up and really just hammering that down, forcing JJ McCarthy to beat you, but they weren't able to do it. But like you said, there were stretches where they were really good and then stretches where they were bad, in my opinion.
Yeah, my only other request for the defense, because I know they don't track this stat, but I think they lead the NFL in hitting your own guy when there should be an interception, because that happened again with Brisker today. He obviously had one. I think it was Stevenson, or no, it was Sean Wright who hit Kevin Byard earlier. This interception hurt both of them today. It's Brisker and Stevenson collide. You got to protect yourselves, guys. Like, they should have had another pick there. And the Deshaun Wright pick, let's hit on that for a second, because we were kind of beating him up there for the touchdown. But that interception, that's, again, the good with the bad in this game, which feels like the theme of it. But that interception was incredible to go up there and high point that thing, Warren.
Yeah, I don't want to take anything away from Deshaun Wright making a good play there. I also feel like pretty piss poor effort from Jordan Addison for not fighting for that ball. Like,
100%.
It requires a good play from Wright, but like, I think if you're a Vikings fan, ideally, one, JJ McCarthy puts that out in front and not as more of a jump ball, and that. But B, Jordan Addison has to actually like try to catch it and not just give Deshaun Wright a pretty free shot to jump up and come down with it. Still a great catch, but like, so it wasn't gift wrapped to him by any means. But like, I would be very frustrated as a Vikings fan to feel like, yes, Wright took advantage of the opportunity, but he shouldn't have been given such an easy, not even an easy, but such an opportunity to get the ball.
To Lauren's point, there was one point in that play, if you go back and watch it again, Jordan Addison's hands go down like to his waist, like he's going to catch it in the bread basket. So, I mean, great play by Wright, but I mean, what a piss poor effort is the exact perfect way to put that by Jordan Addison. But my problem is, it's one really good play, but there's like 10 really bad plays by Deshaun Wright to get to that point. So, I mean, yeah, is it great to see that Byard, Wright, and Tremaine Edmonds are all first or tied for second in the NFL in interceptions? Yeah, that's awesome, because that means you're still getting turnovers even with these guys on the field. But man, Deshaun Wright has to be better consistently if he wants to play. And hopefully Jalen Johnson's back, at least by the Eagles game is when you're hoping he's back, that, A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith aren't going to get, I know that pass team is struggling there, the Eagles, but I don't want him out there against those two guys, because it could be really, really bad.
Yeah, I'm kind of feeling the same way, Adam. I don't want him out there even next week, honestly, against DK Metcalf. Like he's really the only guy that's I guess a concern. Even though I saw you tweet, everyone keeps retweeting this Darnell Washington big play today. Like, I don't want to see that.
If I see that play again, I'm gonna lose my.
I saw like a million times today.
Oh, a million. Yes. Everybody felt like they had to tweet that play out today.
And I'm worried about, like, Stevenson comes out of the game, he comes back in for a play, he comes out like, I actually kind of lost track of, like, by the end, how much he was in and out, but like,
I did too.
I could envision a scenario where Jalen Johnson plays next week, but Stevenson doesn't. So Deshaun Wright's just still out there, but just not in the same spot. It's like, man, you get one back and you lose another one. Like, we'll see. We'll hope for good luck on the injury front. I guess the fact that he was able to try it for a play suggests that, like, in theory, you can hope that it's not going to be a super long-term thing, but certainly could be enough to keep him out a game or two.
Gordon's like officially out one more week, right? Is that the 4 weeks that he has to be out? Is it through the Steelers game?
I believe so, but my timeline's a little bit foggy.
I want to say today was the third game, or the third week. Next week would be the fourth, and then would be eligible if he could play in the Eagles game. So that could be great if he's ready for that as well.
Google AI says he went on injured reserve October 25th. So that would be, I think this would be the last week then, because
okay.
This would be 3. So next week would be 4. Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, if you could get Jalen Johnson and Kyler Gordon back for the Eagles game, I mean, right. I'm not, just give me one of them, but you could get both. Holy cow.
Yeah, you'd be cooking there. And the nice thing for Kyler, if he's not back for the Eagles game, since it's on a Friday, a little extra time then, again, to, be there. And just a reminder for people watching and listening, we'll be here hanging out with you while you're doing your Black Friday shopping on Amazon or wherever you're at. We'll be here on the Locked On Bears YouTube channel doing a post-game show as well. All right. Well, I got to ask these guys a question because I'm not sure if the Bears won this game or if the Vikings lost this game. We'll start with that next year for our final segment on the Bears Squad Show. All right, Lauren. So did the Bears win or did the Vikings lose this game?
I think the Bears won this game because they did play like the better team for the vast majority of the game. I think if the Vikings had held on, like if the Bears hadn't come back and won at the end, and if this was 17-16 Vikings win, I would have said the Bears had lost that game because they played like the better team for the majority of the game. So yes, the fact that they blew it and had to come back at the end is a concern and feels like in some ways the Vikings losing it. Like the Vikings did lose it at the end, but generally my threshold for that is who was the better team over the course of the game from start to finish? That was the Chicago Bears. They deserved to win this game overall, and so I'll say the Bears won.
Yeah, I think you put that perfectly. I'm not saying they walked away and they had this game in hand, but they should have won this game by 3+ touchdowns is my issue with it. But yes, they won this game by being the better team all game long. And, a couple drops here or, little things that force a field goal attempt or a field goal make was the difference between this team putting up, 35 or 19 as they did in the win.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. The Bears won this game because, as Lauren said, you said it perfectly again to reiterate what Adam said. They were the better team for 90%, 95% of this game. It's just really that one drive where you have a bad special teams play, and then Jordan Mason runs the ball the best he had run it all day, and the Vikings score. And it's a good one because I think it was a really interesting point you brought up, Lauren, earlier, where it's the Bears' weaknesses have not been the same week in and week out. And I think that's a good thing, to your point, is that you're not seeing these fatal flaws in the Bears, except for special teams. That's the one where, of everything that's been happening this season, that's the one area where we've not really seen any improvement is on kickoff coverage and punt coverage for the Bears. That's the one thing where it hasn't really bit you yet. You've found a way, but you go back to that Raiders game, the game today, the reason why the Raiders are in that position, the reason why the Vikings are in this position, because of your coverage. It has not improved at all this season. It's just not been consistent enough. So for the long-term ramifications of this game, that to me is the one thing that stands out more than anything else. That has to get better if the Bears, now it's 7-3, have a legit chance to make a real playoff run this year or win a playoff game. Whatever you want the goal to be, that's going to hurt the Bears and cost them at some point this season.
Yeah, the thing that's standing out to me right now, and I'm curious how concerned you guys are about this long term. It's okay, you've got this game, you lead 16-3 in the beginning of the fourth quarter, and you go back to the Bengals game, and you were up at one point 41-27 in the fourth quarter. They're multi-score leads. And against the Saints, you were up 20-7 at halftime, and you let them get a little bit closer. They've had multiple games where you've got a lead and then you still end up sweating it out down the stretch. And I don't know that I can put all the blame on the defense giving up points there, because the offense could have kept extending those leads. It does feel like there's some blame to go around there. And yet, how many times can you blow a lead and still find a way to hold on before that starts to catch up to you? Is there a concern that they can't hold on to these leads, or should we just be happy that they get a big enough lead in the first place that of course, over the course of a football game, you're not going to hold the opponent to 3 and 10 points every single week. So the fact that they get these leads is the encouraging part, and the fact that it's not close for all 4 quarters is actually the good thing.
Yeah, there's a lot there. You can go different directions. I think I look at it 2 ways. When you talk about the blowing leads in the fourth quarter, they were up 16-3, as you mentioned, going in, and they had that drive where Monangai gets 8 yards, first play, and then boom, picks up the first down. And then it's pass. And those were when Caleb took the 2 sacks. And it's just, you're running the ball really well at this point. Continue to run the ball. Instead, he gets pass happy again and is let's try and put this game away. But I want to see you put this game away with a 13 play 8-9 minute drive. And then even if you kick a field goal, you go up 9 and or whatever, you extend the lead even more. So I just think that Ben Johnson's play calling gets you a little bit because he still gets pass happy when you're up and you have a chance to make it a 2-score game. So I think there's different things. The other way I'm looking at this is the first game they've won this year where they didn't score 20 points. It's a game that kept the other team's offense down to just 17, I think it was, and you scored a bunch of points in all your wins. This one, you didn't have the offense going. You couldn't find the end zone really, and yet you still came away with the victory. So it's a different way you won instead of winning late against the Raiders when you scored, or the Bengals game, the Saints. Your defense held up for majority of the game, being a bad offense or whatnot, but you won a game not scoring 20 points. So I guess that's a different way to look at it. I don't know how thrilled I am with the way it went, but you still got to win not scoring 20 points.
Yeah, I would say, to answer your question, Lauren, I am concerned about having these big leads and then not being able to hold on to them, because of just as your schedule changes, the biggest change with all of them is the quarterbacks for the most part. And again, maybe you'll catch a break next week and maybe you'll get Mason Rudolph instead of Aaron Rodgers. But like, if Jalen Hurts is out there on Black Friday and you've got a 2-touchdown lead and the Eagles start to claw back, like, it feels like you're not going to hold on to the Eagles game. If you're, Jared Goff, you're not going to hold on to that one. So that to me is where, like, you have to, I want to see the Bears step on the throat a little more there in the fourth quarter. Like, that to me is the next evolution of this team, of as they make a real playoff push this year, is when you're up in the second half, when you're up in the fourth quarter, step on their throat, like, put that thing in gas and have a 9-minute drive and end it in a touchdown, not in a field goal. Make your field goals, Cairos Santos. That would help as well. But just got to find a way to finish. It's definitely something I think we have to watch out for now the rest of the season.
To Adam's point, like on that drive in the third quarter where you get a Monungai run and then a sack, and you punt it away, then they have that huge punt return and it sets up Vikings.
Yep.
There's such a catalyst kind of thing where, like, one thing goes wrong and then it feels like 3 or 4 other things start to go wrong when you've got that lead, where it just gets away from you for a little while and you kind of wait for the Vikings to make a mistake before you can catch your breath and say, okay, wait a minute, we've got this, let's slow it down, let's get back to the running game a little bit more. But, like, man, one thing has kind of led to another when you've got the lead, where, like, you're not worried about it in the moment because you're winning. So it's like, okay, not that big of a deal. We took a couple sacks, we'll punt, no big deal. Like, we still got 2 possessions, defense has been playing well, but then it's a punt return, then it's a touchdown. It's like, holy crap, wake up, we got to make some stops now. I got to get back to worrying about it. And maybe I don't know that there's like a lack of intensity or focus in those moments, but it just kind of feels like maybe a concern. Well, it wouldn't even be conservative because they were trying to throw twice and got sacked twice. So I really don't know what it is. It just feels like it's a little bit of everything goes wrong all at the same time.
Yeah, I think it's weird too, because you look at the rest of their schedule, everybody but the Browns are fighting for a playoff spot or are going to be a playoff team. So it's a different, we've played the Saints, the Raiders, the Vikings, I don't think are a very good football team. The teams you've beaten, the Bengals, you hope you learn from these wins now and you can apply it to better teams as you move forward. And, if they play Aaron Rodgers or not, the Steelers aren't the greatest team. And I think they kind of remind me a little bit of the Vikings, but they have a better veteran quarterback in Aaron Rodgers, obviously. So I think that looking ahead to their schedule, they sit at 7-3. They got 7 games left. What do you guys think? They got to go 4-3 to guarantee a playoff spot, or 3-4 maybe gets them in? What do you guys think? Because there's a lot of wins in that NFC right now. I mean, hell, the Panthers have 6 wins.
I think 4 is like what you need to, like, just because there's so many wins, as you said, like there's these teams keep winning the NFC. Like, the NFC is picking apart the AFC this year in a lot of ways, and there's also some bottom dwellers in the NFC that have helped a lot. The NFC, the playoff race is going to be, honestly, in both conferences, is going to be fascinating. But in the AFC, it feels like there's going to be one spot that you might get in at 9-8, because, like, we see how the Chargers played today, getting bullied by the Jags. So the Jags are not a good football team. Like, you've got, like, there's a bottom dweller that's going to make it. The NFC doesn't feel like that. It feels like 10 wins might be the 7th seed in the playoffs for the second year in a row in the NFC. So I think 4 like really secures you to make the playoffs this year.
Yeah, I think because we're in the NFC North, right? The it almost matters less to me the number and who they come against, right? Like 10 wins gets you in if those 3 wins are Green Bay, Detroit. But if you have 3 wins and all 3 of those division games are losses, then 10 wins might not get you in right now because you're competing with potentially 2 other teams in your division for that wild card spot. Like to me, it's like Eagles are pretty much a lock. Buccaneers are pretty much a lock, and no one else from those divisions are getting in. And then it's like Rams, Seahawks are probably in for the West, and then it's 2 of Bears, Lions, Packers. And so you just got to beat the Lions and the Packers, and you should be pretty well set there. I mean, the 49ers are in that conversation for sure, too, and beating them could end up being a really pivotal for a playoff spot. But yeah, it's more about winning the divisional games for me than the exact whether you get to 10 wins or 11. Like 10 should get you there if you win the right games.
And I mean, you play the 49ers in a couple weeks, or in a month or so. So, I mean, that's a huge game. If it comes down to you both sitting at 10 wins, you need that win to get you to that game over them that could be the difference in getting in the playoffs or not.
I don't want to spend too much time on this, but as we're getting close to wrapping up here, that's one of the worst missed face mask calls, guys, I've ever seen. The referee, is the
picture of him staring at it is just really, and then you see it, Homer look at him and give him the face mask signal, and the official just shrugs. Like I don't know. Like what? Yeah, it was bad.
It's a referee crew that I had heard through the fewest penalty flags of any group in the NFL leading into this week. So I was expecting them to swallow the whistle, maybe even a little bit more than they did. I mean, we still saw Bears had 6, Vikings only had 2, and I know each side at least had 1 declined penalty on there. I know Swift had a hold that was called back. Bears had a delay of game that was called back, or that was declined, I should say, and a couple others here and there. But yeah, that one is about as blatant and clear now. Like face masks are hard to get away with. It's not even like a glove thing where the glove matches the face mask color. There's nothing there. I mean, the best excuse you could say is like, well, the play was already blown up for a loss, and maybe it didn't have a lot of actual influence on the play. Yeah. That's not a cheating kind of rule. That's a player safety kind of rule.
So Travis Homer was looking back at that official that's how far his head was turned. So yeah, it was bad. But I mean, you sit and you watch college football, you watch these NFL games, the officiating's just horrid right now. And, it's something these teams have to learn to live with. And you just got to fight and call a better play than Travis Homer straight out to the side on 3rd and 5.
And ultimately, you won the game, right? Like we can't spend much time complaining about referees when you win the game. But I agree with you, Adam. Like the best way to not let that be a problem is don't hand it off to Travis Homer on 3rd and 5. Like throw the ball downfield, and then you don't have the problem.
Yeah, I said it earlier. I'll say it again. Like I don't love the play call at all, but if you're going to do it, at least give it to DeAndre Swift in that spot.
Or DJ Moore, he had that nice run on that 3rd and 4 that he picked it up. I know he missed the hole, but he still picked up the first down.
Might be a fun exercise. How many players on offense would you have rather handed the ball off there to? So we got Swift, Moore, Monungai, Burden. I would have handed off to maybe Colston Loveland over to somewhere there. Like, can we get to 5, 6?
Give it to Trapillo over Travis Homer.
Okay, Doug Kramer or Travis.
Oh no! That's too far. That's too far. At least got to mention Roshan Johnson before you mention Doug Kramer on that one.
Hey, Roshan Johnson to me is not on the team anymore. I don't even think about that guy.
Big tackle on special teams.
Did he have? Well,
I'm pretty sure it was him because the Guardian cap kind of makes him stand out on kickoff coverage a little bit.
I did see the Guardian cap. Now, see, that's how I remember. It's just Guardian cap. Now, I don't even think Roshan Johnson, just Guardian cap.
All right. Well, the Bear Squad show, the midweek show, we'll be back with you guys on Tuesday. Myself, Lauren Cox, and Taylor Dahl will be live at 6:15 as we take a look at the Steelers game coming up and just what we thought more of after we watch the all-22 of how the Bears played in this game against the Vikings. As Ben Johnson said, never apologize for a win, no matter how ugly it was at times. For Lauren Cox, for Adam Sager, I am Joe George. Make sure you check out Lauren Monday through Friday right here on the Locked On Bears YouTube channel. Hit that subscribe button. Thank you to everyone watching on YouTube, listening on the audio platforms. We'll talk to you next week. Peace.